The past 18 months have been really turbulent for happy-go-lucky Formula One star Daniel Ricciardo, who has had to endure one of the lowest moments in his career with his McLaren team. However, he insists that he's very confident in his ability to win. How he plans to do that and what he has to say about his McLaren teammate Lando Norris are part of what you'll learn in this video, so don't go anywhere. How the Ricciardo-McLaren love-hate relationship began. In May 2020, McLaren moved quickly for Daniel Ricciardo to serve as a replacement for Carlos Sainz Jr., who had been signed by Ferrari. The 7-time Grand Prix winner made his on-track debut for McLaren in February 2021 during a shakedown at Silverstone, and their union was met with much enthusiasm from both the executives at the British Motor Racing team and fans of Formula One alike. Ricciardo's contract with the team was to run till the end of the 2023 season, and Ricciardo had revealed his excitement about signing with the racing team. He had said that he was coming into a team with a bunch of momentum behind them, considering they were just coming off the back of their best season in recent years, after finishing third in the Constructors' Championship with 2 podium finishes when they signed the Australian. Daniel Ricciardo felt the team was already established, and instead of having to be the star driver putting all the pieces together, he would only be fitting into the puzzle, and he had expressly revealed his confidence about how things could only get better for both him and the team. Little did we know that fast forward to months later, this fairy tale would take a bad turn, with a premature exit from the team with a year left on his contract. Ricciardo acknowledges his comprehensive defeat at the hands of Lando Norris. Was Ricciardo the best driver in Formula One? It's true that Daniel Ricciardo is not having the best of times right now. He underperformed for a McLaren team that apparently wasn't fully supporting him, and has signed Oscar Piastri to be his replacement. But there was a rather happier time in Ricciardo's Formula One career. This was a time when hybrid engines were new to the sport, and Sebastian Vettel was a reigning champion way back in 2014, in a season where Lewis Hamilton made the headlines and made a lot of noise about beating his Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg, who was considered an inferior but clever and hardworking driver. A season that also saw 4-time reigning champion Sebastian Vettel out of sorts, and Alonso's love story with Ferrari rapidly turning sour. Ricciardo emerged as 2014's outstanding driver. First, it was at his home Grand Prix in Melbourne, qualifying on the front row in a tricky session, then doing the same in China, Spain, and Monaco as well. His best victory in that season happened in Belgium, probably created by an unexpected opportunity. Rosberg had clumsily sliced Hamilton's tire, and Vettel almost crashed at Pouhon, allowing Ricciardo through. But once he got into the lead position, he fought hard to grind out a victory on sheer brilliant pace, beating 3-stopping Rosberg, who was driving a much faster car while executing a 2-step strategy that required a great deal of high-speed driving without wearing out the tires. Was a testament to Ricciardo's truly elite level of feel and dexterity. Ricciardo says he's still very confident in his ability to win. Yeah, his permagrin has been tested a lot recently. Still, a smiling, cheerful, and typically honest Ricciardo was the one who sat down for an interview with the race, reflecting on his failed move to McLaren and addressing all the questions it raised about him. He acknowledged his pattern of underachievement with the team, but said underlying confidence remains within him. Ricciardo is typically the candid type, and he didn't mince words when he said that he is totally aware that he isn't perfect. He realizes that he has weaknesses, and says the car he raced in with McLaren has ultimately exposed those weaknesses. He revealed how coming to terms with the facts about his own performance can be quite humbling, and how for any athlete who realizes this, it can lead to the realization that working on oneself can help one get better. The star racer did say that the confident part of him has in no way been silenced, and that it roars, knowing that if they can provide him with a car to win, he can win. His famous 2021 Italian Grand Prix triumph added to his tally of victories, and stands as the ultimate testament to his belief in himself. And though this was not enough to save Ricciardo's McLaren career, he says it's a totem of what he knows deep down that he's capable of. Give me a good car and I'll find a way to win, he says. Ricciardo's humility and acceptance. Daniel Ricciardo's attitude during the interview and to the whole situation just goes to show that whether we call it ego, confidence, or whatever name we ascribe to it, every top driver believes they are the best, even those that are struggling. The 33-year-old has always exuded this sense of self-assuredness ever since he burst onto the Formula One scene during his astonishing first season at Red Bull back in 2014. Ricciardo's confidence has sure taken a few hits during his time at McLaren, but it would be an unwise conclusion for anyone to think that those blows would be fatal to this man just because he can humbly accept the realities of the last year and a half. The Formula One driver believes everyone needs some level of confidence or a big element of it, otherwise they wouldn't belong on the track. setbacks, and he was quick to point this out during that interview with the race. It is true, really, what they say, that one thing that comes with age and maturity is the ability to be more honest with yourself. Ricciardo says he's not perfect. Otherwise, he would have found a way to adapt and deal with the challenges he encountered with the McLaren team. If there was any awkwardness about discussing his situation, Ricciardo's humility cuts through it like a knife through butter. What's the problem with the car? As it stands, a one-year stint on the sidelines is inevitable for Ricciardo. One reason he's willing to take this risk is because he can't afford another situation like McLaren's, where he would be confronted with the same limitations. Though he knows quite well that a Red Bull kind of car is not about to fall into his lap in 2024. Something close to what he had at Renault, where he's shown once the team developed a stronger rear end, would suffice. But what was the problem with the McLaren that made what looked like a match made in heaven turn into a disaster? Ricciardo said there were times when he thought they had made significant progress with the car during practice, only for the whole process to just restart. He called them never-ending steps with no rewards. There would be a weekend when he would think, oh yes, we've got the car set up well and this driving style is starting to suit this car, and then an unforeseen hurdle would show up. Ricciardo's main issue with the 2021 McLaren was initially limited to the braking technique, the manipulations required to get the rear rotated properly upon braking. His teammate Norris could pull this off easily, but he really struggled, having to strip his driving style down to the basics for the first time in his career, just so he could tackle this problem. Another challenge he had with the car was the race pace. What was Daniel Ricciardo's assessment of his McLaren teammate Lando Norris? When asked about his young McLaren teammate Norris, he gave a wonderful assessment of the young man. He said there were no real differences in the way his car and Norris were set up, and even though Norris gave the same kind of feedback as Ricciardo about the McLaren MCL36, he has fared much better. Ricciardo said watching Lando's onboards and seeing all he's able to do with the car, but not being able to do the same, was quite frustrating for him. He just couldn't get the car to rotate the way he wanted. He ascribed the young man's success to two things. First, his talent. Ricciardo said he wouldn't want to take credit away from Norris. He said no one could deny that the kid is good, and saying otherwise would be him being a bitter and sore loser. And the second thing he thinks of how 22-year-old Lando Norris has been able to successfully handle the same car he's finding it hard to adapt to is the young man's lack of experience. Ricciardo believes the popular saying that ignorance is bliss is well demonstrated in this case. The fact that Norris hasn't had much experience behind the wheel, not having driven for any other Formula One team before, not having expectations of how things are meant to work, gives you a clear head to experiment, and that is something Ricciardo believes Norris has got working for him. So guys, do you think Ricciardo has what it takes to be number one again? What do you think about his assessment of McLaren teammate Lando Norris? Kindly tell us in the comment section, and if you found this video interesting, kindly give it a like and share so your friends can watch it too. One more thing, punch the subscribe and notification buttons so you'll know exactly when we upload another interesting video like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.